Welcome to episode 2 of this season's podcast with me, Joanne Grobbelaar, and a really special guest, Allison Angel.
Hi.
We have known each other for a really long time now, coming up for 10, 11 years, Allison.
I know.
So Allison has spent the last 16 years building her own business and helping generate wealth through property. She is a marriage champion and a speaker with Family Life UK, a facilitator of Prepare and Rich Couples inventories, and a mum to 4 young adults. Married to the delightful Junior and currently writing her first book and a woman of God. Welcome, Allison.
Sounds good, that, doesn't it?
It does. You are great. So one of the things that you and I know is that you've really, really worked hard on your self-awareness and building that and understanding who you are as a human being, as a woman leader. How do you constantly build on that self-awareness when you're handling team members and building them up, and especially team members who might be quite challenging?
Great question to start with, Jo. So difficult people in the world are not always easy to deal with. And I can honestly say I feel I've had my fair share and more of difficult employees, difficult husband, ex-husband. Am I allowed to say that?
You're totally allowed to say that. It's short,
yeah, just, life is full of difficulty, I guess, isn't it? And
challenge,
yeah. And so I have this phrase about people who would probably categorise as difficult, and it's like they're sandpaper people. They rub you up the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like you just can't seem to get on the same page as them.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is to appreciate difficult people rather than try and, battle with them, because that just ends up probably not going very well. And so, sandpaper people who rub you up the wrong way. I've learned to reposition this as somebody who can smooth down my rough edges. Yeah. Even though I don't know it at the time, and usually fight against it and think that they're the ones that need to do the work, possibly.
That leads to a very interesting junction in our conversation.
Yeah.
There was something that I reflected back to you probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember you saying that really.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say.
Well, you say it. Yeah.
I was actually quite offended the first time you said this to me.
What was it that I said?
You said, nobody triggers us, we trigger ourselves.
Yeah.
I can just remember it now.
Yeah.
It's like an echo in the back of my mind somewhere. And as I say, like my first response to that was, what? Like, what do you mean? No, he's triggering me, and this old memory's triggering me, and he should be more careful around me. And no, I've learned to accept your statement because I now believe it for myself.
Yeah.
I am definitely in control of my own thoughts and beliefs and behaviour. Yeah. And so whilst I might be triggered, it is definitely up to me how I choose to react to that trigger. So I get it now.
Yeah, because I say this a lot on my socials, a lot in my writing, a lot when I'm speaking, is our job is not to change that other person. Our job is to change the way that we respond, especially if they're sandpaper people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the end, these people are a gift to us because we learn so much more from people who we don't relate to, or we can't get along with, or we have a complete difference of opinion to.
Yeah.
So
different value systems. It's one of the things that you know about our work together and our work in the women's community is we don't stand in that room to be comfortable. We stand in that room to grow, and we need to be uncomfortable to grow.
And be challenged.
Which was that statement that I said to you, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was for me, how did that then transform how you dealt with sandpaper people going forward?
It helped me refine me.
And what did that do for you by refining you?
In a nutshell, it helped me become re-empowered in my own self.
Yeah.
Because I think previously I've been giving a lot of it away to other people who I care about, by the way, not just strangers or, people that I'm in standard relationships with, but loved ones. And I've lost my train of thought now. What was I saying?
About giving your energy away.
Yeah, so I was placing a lot of emphasis on how they made me feel. So that it's this remote connection with yourself that I've got back.
Yeah.
Taking on board my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own reactions, and being empowered by it, and realizing that I am in control of this.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's really important for you to you recognize this, is that change, that hearing that statement really helped you understand your own self-awareness, which then, would it be fair to say, then helped you with your own self-regulation?
Yeah, absolutely. And self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah. They all go together.
I realized the world was my oyster, and it was up to me. Everything was up to me. So in some ways it could be a bit overwhelming and a bit scary, but actually it's the safest place to be.
Yeah. Because change is really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And would it be fair to say, if you think about your life in the last 2 years alone, what's your journey of change look like?
Oh, yeah, it's been quite a transformation, I think, recently.
Yeah.
I feel like I've not pressed as hard. I had this kind of reputation of being a bit of a street fighter. Battles was my middle name.
Yeah.
Bring on the battle, because I'm not afraid, and
that was your comfort zone.
Some of the battles that I've found myself in, I've had to fight quite hard.
Yeah.
So it became like part of me, battling and seeing everything as I need to do this, and the power that I needed, and the strength of character to get through something. And actually what's been different about the last couple of years is that I've released myself of that. So it's a different way of being. It's more of a resting position rather than a fighting position.
Because one of the things is, if you believe your value system is that, for whatever reason, there was something going on for you that was like, I need to, I'm always going to have to be on guard. I'm always going to have to be ready for battle.
I had to be on alert in one particular season in my life.
Yeah. So what happened was, even when that season closed off to an ending, that was still your value system. So because you were constantly looking for, right, where's the next battle coming from? Would it be fair to say that then maybe you brought in, because you were constantly looking for them, that's what you were tuned into, and that's what then maybe why more battles come along?
Yes and no. I know that that's a common mode of thought out there, but I genuinely had relentless challenges. I mean, like big things, not just your everyday challenges in business, but deep things like, betrayals at the top level.
Yeah. Tell us more about that, about you number 2.
Do I have to?
Well, I think
no, I
in
will.
a nutshell, if you think about, because this is about you looking at how you've developed your emotional intelligence and your phenomenal skills as a brilliant leader, Allison, and that starts with you. You're the one that stepped up and done the work and done the transformation.
Yeah. So I recruited somebody in my business at an important milestone when I was coming out of the old business with my ex-husband. This lady came along. She was really good with the both of us. She had a senior position. She was the finance manager. And she actually came with me into my new business. Such was the trust that we'd built up together. She was a senior manager in the business, and had a lot of trust in her.
She had a lot of access.
She had access to, probably too much in hindsight, but she was like my armor bearer. She was like somebody that I felt had me. She'd seen me in the old environment, and I felt she had my back. I really did. And to the point where even her husband drove my wedding car. That's how close. We weren't friends outside of work necessarily. But I shared my vision with her. You know, we got to know each other intimately from a business perspective. And that's how the relationship grew. But that didn't end well because I'd been on honeymoon and come back and noticed some irregularities with the accounts and started to ask some questions. And, you know, everything was okay in that. However, there were certain behaviours that I observed that my alert system, which had already been fine-tuned, was seeing. And so I started just paying a bit more of a closer look at the output from this lady. And it culminated in a quite an intense meeting that we had that left me very concerned about what had been going on over a period of time. You know, like it's just the reaction, I think, to being asked questions.
Yeah.
You know, we're all here to do a job, and so I think there was
to do better.
There was just this feeling that she ruled the roost, and like, how dare I ask her? Whereas I'm the leader of this organisation. It's my business. It's my name over the door. And I think she felt like I didn't trust her because I was asking these questions. But I did trust her, and I was being, you know, as
Curious.
any leader would. I was joining the dots, hoping I wasn't reaching the wrong conclusion, wanting to be proved wrong.
Yeah.
And actually, I ended up having to suspend her in a meeting, and I took the company mobile there and then because there was quite a substantial irregularity in the records, in the bookkeeping, in the accounts, which she had full remit over. And one of the most hurtful things that I still remember like it was yesterday, and this is the thing about betrayal. It's you know, there are moments that you remember, and then there's the pain of like a longer deterioration that you also can recall quite clearly too. And she never returned to the business. She never came to face any kind of questioning under a disciplinary format for these very serious questions that I had. And it was just one random day. I had this phone that she'd had in her possession, and I think I'd misplaced it. So I thought, oh, I know, I'll just ring it. And I rang it, and it was in a drawer in my desk somewhere at the back, and it was a dog barking. The ringtone from me calling this employee, who was my manager in the business, supervisor of the staff, access to bank accounts, and, you know,
real in the inner circle.
And, you know, it was like a Rottweiler bark, like an angry dog.
Yeah.
And when I found the phone in the drawer and the ringtone was still, because I thought, what's that noise?
Yeah.
What is that? Is there a dog outside? I don't know. And it came up and it just said, Allison calling.
Wow.
But the ringtone, and I was in shock because have I got this wrong? What is this? And it's only when I then spoke to somebody else in the team who she had reporting into her. Because, of course, if you think about it, I would never ring this person on site. I'd just go down to the next floor and speak to her. I'd never ring her.
Yeah.
I'd only ever ring her if I wasn't on site.
Yeah.
And so I asked this other employee, I mean, you know, it's slightly awkward, isn't it? But what's your recollection of it? Does this mean anything to you? if I ring this phone now, and this person, I actually felt sorry for her because it was clear that she was so embarrassed.
Mm.
And in a way, they'd all been party to this going on.
Mm.
Whether they'd all been laughing or, when I wasn't there, I'll never know.
Yeah.
But I could tell that this person almost took on responsibility for her being that way.
Yeah.
And she felt deep. She knew how much that hurt me.
Yeah. So, Allison, how do you go from such depth of betrayal and hurt to somebody with, I know, has so much grit and determination to bring about where you're at now at this lovely place in your life? What was the work that you did on you that took you from that place to where you are now?
I think the work that I've done has been slow and steady.
Yes.
It's not been an overnight success. It never is. With feelings that cut deep. And, this was just one example, by the way.
Mm.
This is what was going on in my life at the time. I think I underestimated it because I am, I like working smart and productive and getting results from things. And I think the work that you do on yourself, the deep work, the sort of recovery work, it's about accepting that I only had a limited capacity because these old hurts and hang-ups were taking up room in my soul, if you like. So until I released them, until I understood, until I flipped it and made it, one of my phrases was, why does this keep happening to me? Jo, why does this keep happening to me?
I can remember.
I can't cope with any more happening to me. And now it's, why did this happen for me?
Absolutely, yeah. What was this about? What happened? Why did this happen for me?
This person who decided to put me in her work phone, and the property is owned by the company that I own. It's twisted in so many ways.
Yeah.
This person who decided to put me in I'll never know the answer why she did it. But I know what it meant to me.
Yeah.
And I felt a deep disrespect from that. But that didn't say anything about me.
Yeah.
And it said everything about her. And it took me a while to get that right in my head because I am a sensitive person. I'm a sensitive introvert. I do care.
Deeply, you care.
Deeply, I care.
Yeah.
And I think it's a journey of consistent behaviour. Sometimes without any visible results.
Yeah.
And in the world of business where it's very numerical or it's very clear whether you've hit your KPIs or not, this sort of work, it doesn't always have tangible measures in the same way.
Yeah. But then when we wrap the emotion, because what we're actually talking about here is the emotional intelligence art, which I do a lot of work around, which, your self-awareness, your self-regulation, social awareness, you have, in the last 5 years, that arc for you has completely transformed. Empathy, motivation, you've really, nobody was as highly motivated as you, but it was like you constantly, it was in the fight. If you think about where your property, because you have multiple passion, you're multi-passionate. So your property business, which is incredibly successful, Manchester-based property business, where it sits now compared to, how the business looked then. If I'd have said to you, Allison, your business is going to look like X in 3 years' time, what would you have said?
No, it won't.
No, it won't.
Yeah. Big isn't always best in business. That's my motto. I've got now the most profitable small business with the least stress ever, the most loyal employees, taking up the least amount of my time as the business owner, with the lowest turnover, but the highest output profit.
Yeah. And the quality of the work that you do for your clients is off the charts.
And a client list that people can only dream of.
Yeah.
You know, who love what I do, who are fans of the way that I do it.
Not just fans, raving fans. Raving fans.
So how, you know, you don't read about that in business books. You don't read about that kind of business.
Yeah.
But the reason I love the business in its current format is that it's allowed me time to explore other interests and develop other passions.
Yeah.
And almost, whereas, say, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, it would be a major definer of who I am as a person. You know, that I've got this big business and 4 branches and 34 staff and X amount turnover. It's only a part of what I do. And it's more reflective of the person that I am now.
Yeah. And I think, knowing how long I've known you, I think it's brought about so much joy and peacefulness. And actually, you are one of the most successful businesswomen that I know.
Wow.
And you just so eloquently said that, you know where I stand on this, in terms of, we have these people talking about, oh, you know, I did 7 figures turnover, and I'm like, what's your profit?
Yeah.
You know, and I've worked, you know, we don't work with anybody in a business. We curate who comes and works with us as a community of women, with me as a consultant. And I think that is the story that's really powerful of yours, is that you really did the work on yourself, which then allowed you to look at your business model and go, I'm going to change this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because quite a lot of the time, I think women and men chase the metrics that just bring them so little joy and happiness and peace.
Yeah. And I guess I've not met many people with 7-figure businesses who didn't have a 7-figure headache to go with it.
Amen.
You know? We all share the upsides of it, you know, but who's sharing the downsides of it?
Yeah.
Give me the real picture and then I might follow you.
Yeah. That's the truth, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you go under the bonnet and you realise the challenges that are in there, I know what I'm choosing every day.
And very often in business, I mean, I tried it with mine. I tried doing different things. I tried expanding and multiplying, but it actually had a negative effect on my margin.
Yeah.
So growth in the way that I did it didn't equal more profit.
Yeah.
Yes, I might have had more exposure to this or that. An opportunity may have come from that if I'd have kept with it. But, you know, sometimes there's a real joy in redefining, simplifying, slowing down.
To speed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, just there's nothing wrong with going into neutral for a while.
Oh, I love cruising in neutral for a little bit. So much has come from that. So having this space to cruise in neutral has allowed you to really look at a new piece of work for you, being a marriage mentor. Why has this become something that's so important to you?
So, I mean, if I'd have thought a few years ago, going through the most brutal divorce that I did, the thing that would disqualify me from, I mean, it's madness, it's crazy. It's like, you become like a marriage champion, speaker, facilitator. But actually, that's the very thing that qualifies you. Because I've been there and I can relate and I know what you're talking about and I can speak with authority over a situation because, you know, it's happened to me.
Yeah.
And I've lived to tell the tale. And so this is now like a new season that I'm going into of really putting all that pain, all that hurt, all that disappointment into something for the good of a greater purpose.
Happened for you and not to you.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about what, you went through this really, really challenging separation, breakup, divorce that was one heck of a roller coaster. What's the journey been like for you? Because you're now remarried.
Yeah. Mrs. Angel.
Mrs. Angel. Best surname ever. What's the journey? What things have you had to think about, and what things have you taken away and had to reteach yourself, having come from a very challenging situation into a very different situation with a very different person? What work have you had to do on you?
Oh, how long have we got for the answer for this one? Marriage is hard. I think second marriage is harder. So,
because we come with baggage, don't we?
Of course.
Yeah, we come with this value system, this baggage, hurts, lost hopes, dreams, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And we almost look at that person and go, right, are you going to fix all this then?
Yeah, can do. I mean, I was filled with such great hope and excitement at meeting Mr. Angel and getting married and becoming.
When I heard the story of the first meeting, I was like, Mr. Angel, you are smooth
operator. Yeah, definitely. And really, I underestimated, the recovery that could only take place being married again.
Yeah.
A lot of people who get through a divorce, and even the best divorces, I would say it's still a brutal battlefield.
It's a loss.
The process itself.
It's a loss. It's grieving. And it's different for everybody, but it's hard. It's a challenge.
But then to find love again and feel, wow, I've been given a second bite of the cherry. I'm so blessed. I'm so happy. All the things I wanted to do in my first marriage, they're now going to come true with this other guy. Wow, God, and thank you for it all. And then, boom, you get married, and so it begins. This journey from, okay, we're now moving through into a different phase of our relationship, of getting to know each other, living together, bringing stepchildren into the mix.
Yeah.
My husband is, I hear this a lot, so different. He's so different to me. I wondered how, probably 2-3 years into it, how on earth this was going to work, because we had a lot of conflict. There was so much stuff because he'd been married before. So he had his own pain and hurts. And obviously I had work to do, which I think a lot of people can do following a divorce on their own. You can help yourself a lot. You can rediscover who you are and find your feet again in the world. But then it's another phase of development work, if you like, when you rejoin in a marriage with somebody. And that, I guess, again, it took me by surprise, because there was a lot of conflict, there was a lot of fallings out, there was a lot of different mindsets and opinions, and everything is different.
Yeah.
And again, it's I did doubt some way into the marriage that, why have I done this again? Why have I put myself in this situation? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And we're coming up for our 6th anniversary
at
the end of May.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Whew. And you know what? It's just been a training ground.
Yeah.
For now, seeing what we're about to do, I can now just look back again with absolute delight and thanks for the situations that we've found ourselves in and worked through, because again, we've got so much experience.
Yeah. And what I find really interesting is, even now, you are still learning stuff about that relationship.
Yeah, it's a lifelong journey.
Yeah. And it's like little things where because we have a little joke. I'm not going to share it now. We have a little joke about your relationship, don't we? About woodworking.
Oh. Okay.
We have this little
woodworking.
Allison and I have
all
this
the listeners now are going, what?
We have this code word where
woodworking?
I use this word woodworking, where it helps you see your responsibility in the relationship, doesn't it? And it's this little code word we use, and it was to do with a situation that was going on about 6 months ago, but we now use that as a really good frame of reference.
Yeah.
And every time I go, Allison, is this a woodworking situation again? And you'll go, oh my goodness, it is. And you then move on, and you literally choose to move through, and you redefine where you're at in your relationship again. And every time you do the work, it just gets more and more delightful.
Can we explain the woodworking?
We can explain the woodworking.
Just really quickly, what woodworking is wanting something for somebody else that they don't necessarily want. So I wanted my husband to start doing woodworking classes because he likes working with wood, and set up this whole new business venture of getting this warehouse and doing these classes. And they don't teach it in schools anymore, Junior. I'm sorry, we can just, get, this business is huge. We could be franchised. And he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah. And that was a great conversation.
And so the woodworking just brings me back to, what do I want to do with my career?
Yes.
Keep it real, keep it to me, and I'll be okay then. Yeah, I'm not trying to force something.
Yeah, because that was a really interesting thing, isn't it? So when you get stuck quite often,
it's because I'm not focusing on my own life.
Yeah. It's because you're being a tugboat and trying to pull somebody else in a different direction. And they're like, and Junior's the most peaceful man ever. And he's like, really happy with where I'm at the minute. Thanks.
I don't want to do that.
And when I'm ready to step forward and do something different, I will do it.
And even when he said, I don't really see it, I'd say, why? Come on, this is a great idea. Come on, can't you see it? But that's just the entrepreneur in me, just getting overexcited over a million things a day.
Yeah. And that's me going, does Julia want to be a woodwork teacher?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he does.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should do something different with that idea then. But every time that you take responsibility and you self-regulate and realign, you just go up another notch, Allison.
True.
That's the learnings, isn't it? The more that you self-regulate and let go, the more that your life gets better and better.
Yeah. I just had a penny drop moment then, actually.
Oh, share.
Like, I think I've always wanted to go up in the world, do more in the world, be a bigger influence with someone, be it a business partner, be it a spouse, right? Because I'm just that way inclined. And so in a way, it's slowed me down. It's not given me my own confidence to do everything that I want to do. Because I've been trying to pull all these people along with me. Yeah. And actually, I've got what it takes. I can go places I can't even dream about.
Yeah.
And it's going to be okay for the other people in my life.
Yeah.
So,
it is. And I think that's it. I think part of your goodness was wanting to bring people along on the journey.
Yeah.
Because that felt like a good thing to do.
Sure.
In hindsight, one of the things that you recognised is that if somebody wants to come, they'll jump on the bus with me.
And actually, me going alone on certain projects could have the same impact, but I haven't had that fight, if you like, to get them on board. It might be something I say or do, or a way of being that then they suddenly see. And it means something too.
Yeah.
But they're not the ones carrying the responsibility of it.
Yeah. It's a really nice way to live, isn't it? More peaceful way to live. Well, let's just think for a second about when I asked you who were your aspirations? And you talked about your dad.
Yeah.
That was really lovely. Tell us more why kind of like you really look up to your dad and your mum. Let's not forget your mum.
Oh yeah, can't forget Lynn.
Can't forget our Lynn. But it was just something that it was just something very special in your mum and dad and what they've done for you. Tell us more about that relationship.
So my dad, he like officially adopted me when I was 2.
Yeah.
So he's not my biological dad. And I think for a lot of guys who take on somebody else's daughter and be that role model for them, first of all, hats off. That is such a selfless thing to do. And he is my dad. I don't have any voids in my life. I'm not looking for anybody else. He has been an absolute treasure to me.
I love it when you go off and have ventures together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So me and my dad, we just have this really shared, we have this shared excitement for just going off on adventures and exploring things. The most recent one was when we went to Mallorca on a little 3-day trip looking at property investment. And you know what? He was just the best. He was just the best advocate for what I was doing. I was even training him on Instagram stories on the hotel balcony as we were going out because I wanted to capture all the moments, and he loved it.
He did a brilliant job as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So reason why I put that on the table is because that is such an example, isn't it, of people will hop on the bus when they want, and the difference is of how that is such a great relationship.
Yeah.
And and he's such an advocate for what you do, and there's so much synergy there, and he goes along with the excitement and he wants to learn, but you're not having to tugboat him. It's literally like being the lighthouse, and he like, show me the way.
And mum was delighted because of course she got the house to herself for 3 days. So it worked for everybody.
Yeah.
But my dad is just, just the generosity that he has for other people. Overly generous that he doesn't worry about giving to other people. I admire that about him. And he's had his own battles with, demons and things, but you know what? He gets up every time and he goes again.
Yeah.
And time because it's a journey, and it's he's
a real hero, isn't he?
He is. He is my hero.
Yeah.
He's my hero.
Yeah.
And he's very balanced when I have conversations with him about things. He's like a kind correction. So he might agree with me on some points and then disagree on others, but his manner is so gentle, and I love him.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
It's such a really nice contrast, isn't it, about seeing how people can choose to step on this journey with us and what happens.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I know that you love doing in your businesses, and whether that's in the property business or working in your relationship business, is creating wow moments. Tell us why you've incorporated wow moments and what they mean to you as a business owner.
Wow moments often come from dissatisfied situations and customers who are potentially on the edge of becoming disillusioned, complainers, even haters, if they're allowed to go that far. So again, it's seeing these people, we started out, didn't we, talking about difficult situations, difficult people. These people I view as a gift. So I made a mistake once in my property business. We actually charged a client twice for the same job. It was a repair in one of his rental properties in the bathroom. And he had to point that out to us. We didn't see our mistake. He got his statement and said, "Hey, what's going on here, guys?" And we looked at this. We realised how the error had occurred. And I guess, the standard answer, the standard solution would be, give this guy the money back. Obviously, we charged him twice, and an apology. So I try to use these situations whenever they come up to do something more wow. Because I don't know whether I read it somewhere or I was at a seminar once about the customer experience. And it was about how these people who have suffered some sort of disappointment could actually become raving fans of yours, depending on how you take them through this, because nobody likes complaining, really, I don't think. And so, people can feel awkward about complaining or not sure about complaining.
Uncomfortable.
Or worried about the impact of complaining.
Yeah.
Like, what will she do in my property if I complain about her? That kind of mindset. And so I decided to give this client a double refund. So in other words...
Wow. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, you just said it. And so he got his statement and I said, look, this is what we're going to do. Not just the charge that we put in error, but also the original charge as well. Wow. I like doing that because it creates intrigue. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Because you've let me see where my process was broken.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a reward back to you.
Yeah.
For giving us that opportunity. Yeah. It's a different way of complaint handling and customer service experience.
Yeah. It's they're helping you identify where our standard operating procedures need a little tweak and a tightening up.
Absolutely.
Really brilliant way to do business, Alison. Okay, as we're going into the final furlong, I found out something about you that I never knew. You worked in the Take That fan club. I have to tell you,
I did.
That blew my mind. I'm deeply in love with Howard, still am. I met him in a lift once, can I just tell you?
I loved him when he had dreadlocks.
Oh, I met him in a lift once at the Sanderson, and I got in this lift, and there was me and Howard in this lift.
Really?
With a really good friend of mine, and I looked at him and I just went, "You're Howard." It was one of those life moments that, you imagine it as a kid all your life, and then it happens and you totally blow it.
Yeah.
How did that come about, working to Take That?
Oh gosh, this was the best temp job ever. I was in my early 20s. I'd just been made redundant, and I was at home. I got a call from the temping agency, and they said, "Oh, we got this job for you for next week. It could be longer." Because I was looking for a long term, temp to perm kind of thing. And they said, "Oh, it's like a week to week." And I was like, "I'm not really that keen. What is it?" She said, "Well, you might like it when I tell you what it is." Okay, what is it? It's working at the Take That fan club, opening sacks of mail. So there'd been like a tour, there'd been Christmas, there'd been Valentine's Day, there'd been, Gary Barlow's birthday or something. And basically they had this backlog of sacks and sacks and sacks of letters, gifts, items. They all needed opening.
Yeah.
And they all needed categorizing into piles.
Yeah.
And so for a number of weeks, I can't remember, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, I was sat, I didn't even have a chair. This is how bad it was. I was sat on the floor in this sort of office in a back street in Manchester, a secret address that nobody knew. It was like a P.O. box. Just being absolutely gobsmacked by these things that people were sending in to the lads as part of the fan club. And honestly, it was an eye-opener. It was some of them were quite sad. Some real sort of deep issues. And but what a job. I tell you what. And then towards the end of the stint, we because there was me and another temp that were doing this job because we had to clear the backlog. And they said, "Oh, we need this office clearing on Friday. The boys are coming in." And it was in the days when the tabloids did like a phone-in. And so they all arrived one morning and sort of came up the stairs and I sort of saw them. And by this time I was quite a fan myself. I wasn't at the beginning, but I'd become quite starstruck. And they sort of came up and they plonked themselves down. And then I had to go out and get one of them a cheese and onion toastie for his breakfast.
Can I ask which one?
It was Gary.
I'm pretty confident Gary doesn't eat cheese and onion
I'm sure he doesn't
today.
now. But Gary, if you ever hear this, do you remember? You probably don't. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but
I do.
That was me.
Yeah. Buying you cheese and onion toastie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alison, that is a great story. But just to wrap up, I want us to talk about the couples inventory that you use as a foundation in your marriage mentoring program. What kind of people would it be helpful to go and have a look at that?
So I am a trained facilitator now of the Prepare Enrich Couples Inventory, which is a fantastically sophisticated piece of kit. It's actually a questionnaire that you would fill in online, both you and your partner. And it's for couples, whether they're dating, whether they're contemplating getting married, whether they're married already. It gives you a snapshot of what your couple profile is. And it's so useful because it covers about 20 different areas of relationship, whether it's spiritual beliefs, money, parenting, family background, all kinds of things. And I get this report on a couple and I then take them through a coaching session where, because they've answered this questionnaire openly and honestly, they actually get a sort of indicator of where they're at right now in their relationship, because that's the only stage you can build from.
Yeah.
You know, it's different to traditional counselling where you sort of look back at issue and go over previous things that might have happened. It's definitely a forward-looking program of understanding each other's differences or actually where you're aligned, because it also shows you your strength areas. And I think in understanding your relationship and wanting to enrich your marriage, it's so critical that you know where each other's at.
Yeah, language of love.
Exactly, that's just one of the areas.
One of the areas of knowing how we like to feel and be loved.
And it's actually so freeing when you get this knowledge. Yeah. You can put a lot of the disagreements or the conflict that you might be experiencing into perspective. It's like, aha, that's why we do that.
Yeah.
Wow, I never realised that. And so actually, you know, the bend in the road may not necessarily be the end of the road.
Yeah.
Because we're all different and we're allowed to be different in our relationships. And actually, the more different you are, the more you might encounter conflict.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's really helpful, been really massively helpful for you.
In our,
in your
I did it with my husband and, you know, it was so accurate and so valuable as a piece of information that we can build from. And
it was really transformative then in how you chose to live your life on your terms and how that enriched your marriage.
Yeah.
Huge.
I mean, they say that I used to think, because I had quite a lot of I used to feel quite a lot of disappointment in my marriage. And so you see these things about, you know, disappointment is, you know, it's not the sign of a bad marriage. It's the sign of a marriage.
Yeah.
We get disappointed.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Did you expect that? Because, the reason I love this inventory is that it allows you to see exactly why you felt disappointed, and the fact that it's not actually the person. It's then you approaching marriage as a team and seeing where you are different and where you are the same, and how the differences can actually enrich your marriage rather than act as a divider.
Yeah, and divisive.
Yeah.
Alison, this is incredible work that you're doing out there in the community, because you and I know that you being part of our women's community, we hear lots of things about relationships. So I want to take a bow to you as a leader, being an absolute champion woman business owner, leading the way and showing people that no matter how dark things can get, there is a way out and through.
There's always a light.
There is. Alison, thank you for being a phenomenal guest. We'll put links to everything and where we can find you on the website. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you, Jo.